Welcome back to The Explainer. Now today, we are not looking at a bank robbery. We're not talking about some high-speed chase or a diamond heist. We're actually digging into a true crime digital heist that took place entirely within the glass walls of a modern corporate office. This is a story about stolen work, fake credit, and ultimately, the undeniable power of digital footprints. Look, if you have ever felt like someone else just casually took credit for your hard work, and let's be honest, so many of us have been there, you are going to want to pay very close attention to how this whole thing unfolds, because the way this gets resolved, it's an absolute masterclass.
So, in every office ecosystem, there's this underlying dynamic, right? You've got the loud over-communicators, the ones who always seem to be in the spotlight. And then you have the quiet architects, the people actually building the foundations day in and day out. The source material we're analyzing today introduces us to Maya Bennett. She's a quiet, incredibly competent senior analyst. And then there's Daniel Reed, the coworker who very loudly and very brazenly stole her work. But here's the thing about silence. It does not equal weakness, not even close. Sometimes silence is literally just the sound of someone meticulously gathering evidence.
To really understand the stakes, you have to picture the contrast here. On one side, we have Daniel, soaking up all this public glory. He is literally standing in a conference room, receiving applause, handshakes, and a massive promotion for a huge proposal called Project Atlas. He's acting like the visionary. But on the exact opposite side of that room, we have Maya's silent reality. She's standing quietly in the back, just staring at a wall clock, because the clock in her memory is permanently stuck at 11:59 p.m. That was the exact minute, late at night, in an empty office when she finished and saved the original file. Daniel is up there popping champagne, celebrating a victory, but he completely forgot about one crucial thing: the system timestamps. Now, what's truly fascinating, and honestly incredibly frustrating about this case, is how the corporate machine actually aids and abets the theft. It's not just one bad actor. The very next morning after this totally unearned promotion, Maya is called into a meeting. The subject? Transition support. It's with Karen Holt, the department director. And Karen essentially acts as an accomplice here. Whether she realizes the full extent of the theft or just doesn't care, she orders Maya to hand over all her raw working files and backup data to Daniel. Daniel even has the nerve, the absolute audacity, to tell Maya to make sure she organizes her files properly for him. And Maya's response? A completely still, dead calm, I will send everything.
But later that evening, a quiet little intervention happens that changes the entire trajectory of this story. As Maya is sitting there, carefully preparing the files, meticulously checking every hidden autosave, every data source, a small, anonymous white envelope just appears on her desk. Inside is a sticky note with this exact phrase: check the archived folder. He forgot the backup. Who left it? It was Nina, an underestimated intern who was just packing up her desk late. Honestly, this is a fantastic reminder that the people who are ignored the most in a corporate environment, the interns, the assistants, they are often the ones who see absolutely everything.
So, following the intern's tip, Maya jumps into the shared corporate drive, and what she finds is wild. This wasn't just a simple file sitting on a desktop. Daniel had actively tried to bury the evidence in a labyrinth. He hid it under a folder called Strategy, then inside a subfolder called 2024 Drafts, then another one called Temporary Review, and finally a folder he manually renamed to Backup_Old. He genuinely believed that no one would ever bother to click through 4 layers of incredibly boring corporate folder architecture to find the truth. Well, spoiler alert, he was dead wrong. Inside that buried, dusty digital folder were 2 files side by side: Maya's original incredibly complex strategy model and Daniel's so-called final presentation. And the absolutely crucial detail here is the number 8. Just 8 minutes. There were exactly 8 minutes between the creation timestamp of Maya's original model and Daniel's final copy. Now think about that. Nobody, and I mean literally nobody, builds a comprehensive market expansion strategy, complete with revenue curves and sensitivity layers in 8 minutes. The digital math simply does not add up, and Maya now has the exact thread she needs to unravel Daniel's entire lie. Okay, so the very next morning, Maya wastes no time. She takes her findings straight to the IT department, officially requesting a file history export under the company's intellectual property policy. But Leo Harris, the IT administrator, drops an absolute bombshell on her. He looks at her and says, you are the second person to ask about that folder. Maya, obviously stunned, asks who the first person was. Leo replies, the CO's office. Wow, this is huge. Chief Operating Officer Victor Chen is already quietly investigating this on his own. While the middle management director was busy rewarding loud confidence, the executive level had already smelled smoke and started pulling the digital receipts. The timeline that the IT department puts together brings this digital crime scene to life, minute by agonizing minute. Let's walk through it. Maya creates the original file at 9:14 p.m. She grinds on it for hours, officially finishing her edits at exactly 11:59 p.m. Then, the vultures start circling. Just 8 minutes later, at 12:07 a.m., Daniel accesses the folder. At 12:09 a.m., he downloads the file. By 12:13 a.m., he is actively creating his own copy. Look, this isn't two colleagues collaborating on a project. This is a step-by-step midnight extraction of someone else's intense labor. And it gets worse, because Daniel didn't just copy the file. He tried to completely erase Maya's digital existence from the project. At 12:17 a.m., he renames the file to make it look like his own original work. A minute later, at 12:18, he actually digs into the system settings and changes the ownership permissions, officially assigning himself as the sole owner. Finally, at 12:21 a.m., he deletes the original shortcut, hoping to completely sever the digital link to Maya. He really thought he was a mastermind pulling off the perfect crime. But to the IT system, he was just a guy leaving a glowing neon trail of unauthorized modifications.
As the week progresses, the tension in the office is just electric. You can practically feel it. Daniel is becoming absolutely unbearable, loudly walking around using phrases like "my strategic direction" and "my vision." He even has the audacity to pull Maya aside and say, "You're better behind the scenes." But Maya, fully armed with the undeniable truth sitting in her IT report, delivers this absolute masterclass of a warning. She looks right at him and says, "Behind the scenes is where the records are." It gives me chills. Daniel just laughs it off, completely oblivious to his impending downfall.
Fast forward to Friday, 9 a.m., the executive review. Set the stage in your mind. Everyone is gathered in the main glass conference room. It's a fishbowl. Daniel is wearing a brand new suit, looking incredibly smug. You've got Karen, Maya, representatives from HR, finance, and Victor Chen, the COO, all sitting around this massive table. The stakes could not be higher. Daniel places his laptop on the table like it's a trophy, fully expecting to cement his new role as the absolute strategic genius of the company. But before Daniel can even begin his victory lap, Victor Chen makes a very quiet, very specific request. He says, "Please present from the source file, not an exported PDF." Now, if you work in corporate, you know that simple sentence completely changes the temperature of the room. Why? Because an exported PDF is a dead, static document. It hides its history. A live source file, however, is a living organism. It is full of metadata, author tags, edit histories, the whole shebang. Daniel, trying to play it cool, agrees, claiming the live file is more current. He is walking right into a trap, and he has no idea. As Daniel presents, Victor starts asking really specific technical questions. When he asks about a complex revenue curve assumption, Daniel smoothly claims it's part of the sensitivity layer. Victor presses him gently, "Which you built?" Daniel, doubling down on his massive lie in front of the entire executive team, smiles and says, "Yes, my team and I." He is literally stealing the work in real time on the record. He is completely 100% committed to the lie, and that is the exact moment Victor turns to Leo from IT, who has been sitting quietly in the back corner, and says, "Please connect your laptop." There is no dramatic movie music here, just the cold, hard reality of the shared drive audit log being projected onto the massive screen at the front of the room. Original author, Maya Bennett. Last edit before the first executive submission, 11:59 p.m. There it is, the exact minute Maya remembers saving the file. Right there, in crisp high definition, in front of the entire room, Daniel's narrative just begins to fracture into a million pieces.
But, as we know, the corporate machine almost always tries to protect its own first. Karen Hold, the director who aggressively pushed Daniel's promotion, immediately jumps in to run damage control. She waves her hand and says, "Well, file metadata can be misleading. Many people touch shared documents." She's frantically trying to provide cover. She prefers the confident, shiny story they've already sold to leadership over the incredibly uncomfortable truth staring them right in the face. She's essentially banking on the idea that these executives won't understand how digital files actually work.
Victor, however, dismantles that weak defense instantly. He calmly replies, "That is exactly why we pulled the access log." Leo clicks to the next slide of his IT report on the projector, and I'm telling you, the room falls dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. The timeline is laid bare for everyone to see.
Daniel accessing the file at 12:07 a.m., downloading it, renaming it, changing the permissions to make himself the owner, and deleting the shortcut. Guys, this isn't just ambiguous metadata. This is a time-stamped, irrefutable security log of a digital burglary.
Daniel is fully panicking now. He tries one last desperate excuse. He looks over at Maya, sweating, and claims, "Maya shared the working file with me. We were collaborating." But this is when Maya finally speaks up. Perfectly calm, cool as ice, she systematically dismantles him in front of HR and the executive board. She states her case with absolute clarity. She did not share owner access, she did not authorize a rename, she did not authorize a deletion, and she most definitely did not authorize her name being removed from the proposal. The whole "we were collaborating" lie is completely dead on arrival.
And this next part is exactly why you should never, ever steal someone else's deep work. Leo from IT opens up the archived backup folder. Yep, the exact one the intern warned Maya about. He pulls up Daniel's submitted deck and compares it side by side to Maya's original. They are identical. Same structure, same model. Daniel had gone through and painstakingly manually deleted Maya's name from every single slide. Except one. Slide 18. The appendix. It was the one slide buried so deep at the very end of the massive presentation that Daniel never even bothered to check it.
Leo highlights slide 18 on the main screen, and Victor Chen reads the tiny speaker notes aloud to the completely silent room. Prepared by Maya Bennett for internal leadership review. Boom. That one overlooked line of text, automatically generated by the system on Maya's original drafts, was the final nail in the coffin. It brought down the entire house of cards. It proved, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Daniel was nothing more than a presenter of someone else's genius.
The corporate reaction is immediate, and it is severe. By noon that same day, Daniel's provisional promotion is completely frozen. Karen is ordered by top leadership to provide a formal, written explanation for exactly why she validated Daniel's fake work. HR immediately opens a formal review, and finance even steps in to request a client risk assessment, suddenly realizing they almost sent an absolute fraud out to pitch to their biggest clients. The office machine, which protected him yesterday, instantly turns on Daniel to protect itself. Later that evening, after the dust settles, Victor Chen calls Maya into his office. He doesn't offer her fake corporate apologies. He offers her real authority. He tells her the company owes her a major correction, and he actually asks her to lead the new review process. Maya's response to this is incredibly powerful. She says, "I do not need revenge. I need the work to be protected. Not just mine, everyone's." She isn't doing this to destroy Daniel for the fun of it. She's doing this to permanently fix a broken system that allowed actual talent to be so easily exploited.
So what is the core takeaway for us here? People who steal work often think that talent is invisible. They think that ideas can just be plucked out of the air and claimed as their own. But talent leaves fingerprints. It leaves formulas, structural comments, hidden formatting. And most importantly, the truth has a habit of waiting patiently in the most boring places imaginable. In backup folders, in IT access logs, in archive drafts, and of course, in the quiet memories of the people who actually sat down and did the work. But before we wrap up this explainer, there is one final massive twist to this story. Our source material leaves us with a huge cliffhanger. While Maya successfully exposed Daniel and took control of the process, there was something she actually didn't know. Director Karen Holt sent one hidden encrypted email right before that explosive executive meeting. One email that proves Daniel was never acting alone in this scheme. When that email surfaces, the next person to fall is going to be someone no one expected. So, who do you think is really pulling the strings in this office? Think about it, and we will definitely see you in the next explainer.